Hey, it's Rob from Wheelworks Bike Shop in Dublin. This, I think, is the last unboxing for the day because I have work to do, and I better stop making a mess for the guys to clean up after me. So we've done some speed concepts, we've done super caliber, and this is a Madone. It's a Gen8 Madone. It's an SLR8, which means it's SRAM red. AXS, it's a medium large, and I don't know what colour it is. We're just pulling random bikes and boxes out of the warehouse and seeing what comes out. So we just did the super caliber mountain bike. It's the shortest unboxing I've ever done because I know so little about the mountain bikes these days. So we'll spend a little bit longer on this one because I sort of know what I'm talking about with the road stuff. A little bit more, sort of. Okay, so it's the white. I don't know who this one's for. So let's just bring that back a little bit closer. So Gen8 Madone is it's a mix between the older Monda and the previous generation Gen7 Madone. Lighter, supposedly as aero when you combine it with the new aero bottles that it comes with. And I guess I have thoughts about that. So I've been on the new Madone now for, where are we, February, so probably about 8 or 9 months. I got one last summer when they came out. And I think the biggest difference in the Madone, so I think the new one is faster. That's very difficult to know and say with any certainty because it's so subjective. Like, it's, you know, you have good legs one day, you go out, but I think overall my speeds are faster on the new one. And that's, I think, in large part down to the way that bikes have changed in terms of the way we're setting them up and bike fit, as well as the weight saving and the aero. So I think if I had a Gen 7 set up the way I have my Gen 8 set up, it would be as fast, if not faster, on flat and rolly conditions, because the Gen 8, the Gen 7 is without the bottles on it, it's more aero. However, the new model, the Gen 8, it is definitely more responsive. It feels nicer when it's climbing. We don't have really big climbs in Ireland like you'd have in continental Europe and in the Alps and places like that, but we do have some rolly routes. There's not that much flat anywhere around, so there's plenty of climbing. It just isn't long sustained climbs. Visually, I still think the Gen 7 is, for me, a better looking bike. I just love the big canvas. I don't know, I'm quite split between which one is my favorite. I definitely prefer the way the new one rides, and I prefer the newer position. So I suppose we'll talk about that. The position is different in that from a Gen 6 where they all came with seat posts with a layback. We should have a Gen 6 on the floor. There's one over here, isn't there? Go over and have a look at it so we know what we're talking about. So on a Gen 6, the seat post had a layback. So your seat post came up and your clamp was laid back behind the center line of the seat post. The Gen 7, that changed. That the seat angle, the seat tube angle is still the same, but the clamp has moved forward to be in line. The issue with that on the Gen 7 versus the Gen 8, the other thing that's happened is the cockpit on the Gen 8 that's probably the biggest difference in speed is what happens at the front of the bike and the way the Gen 8 allows you to do that. So the new cockpits, the older cockpits didn't come in enough sizes. The trend for fitting now, particularly for triathletes who are getting onto road bikes, but also on the road, is to get the saddle further forward, get it further forward, open out the hip angle, and then you can get lower on the front without closing down your hip angle too much. In order to do that, you need a longer stem. And the cockpit for the Gen 7 didn't come with a long enough stem for me to get as far forward, as much forward as I wanted to. With the newer bike, I'm able to get further forward because the new cockpit comes in the narrower. The older one didn't come in the narrowest width that I wanted with the length combined. They offer more sizing options on the new one. So I've gone down to a 35 at the tops, which is quite a narrow bar, with a 110 stem, and I'll probably go to a 120 and come further forward to get closer to the position that I'd ride on the tri bike. And that's made a big difference in speed. So I've put some videos up over the last number of months where I've talked about one bike being faster than the other, and the Gen 8 for me is faster, but it's faster because I can get a position on it that's faster with the new integrated cockpit, and I wasn't willing to sacrifice how the older bike looked in order to get that position with a two-piece cockpit. I still wanted it to have the integrated cockpit. So the Gen 8 has a more modern fit capabilities than the Gen 7 had when you take the new cockpit into account, and that is the biggest difference in speed. The fitting that we're able to get on the new bike is faster than the old bike, and it's just a shame we couldn't get that position on a Gen 7 with the nice big tubes and the big canvas, so that the paint always looks better on the Gen 7, I think. Anyway, this is one of the what they call Project One Now. So Project One Now are sort of the standard color options you have to choose from that there's no upcharge for. There's this era white, I think they call it, with a gold marbling effect, gold decals on the Project One and on the Trek logo. The second standard color option is this dark red, and then there's the team, and there's a matte black. So there's 4 standard options that you can choose from at no extra charge, and then you can go into custom paints like the Tête de la Course. This one here, that was the paint scheme that all of Trek's athletes rode in the Olympics in Paris last year. And you've got all sorts of other fancy pinks and greens and lots of other options. The other colours will have an upcharge, and depends on how fancy you want to go, whether you want to go below the budget, go for full chrome. The chrome paint jobs run around about €4,000. The standard signature options run at about €800. Most of the Project One stuff that we do, we get asked that quite a lot actually. Most of the Project One stuff we do, people will go with custom colours. It's really popular. We don't do a huge amount of the chrome. The price obviously is quite prohibitive, but we do some. The signature paints are quite popular. So that's Madone SLR8 AXS. It's previous generation SRAM Red. Parameter, Bontrager, Aeolus Pro 51s. You can see the new cockpit. So this is what I was saying about the cockpit. The top of it is narrower and it flares out. So you've got a wider stance here for sprinting, or for in the drops is quite narrow here. And then you've got the narrowest position on top. That's a 42. So 42 at the drops and 39 at the tops. I'm riding a 35, which would be more like that. It took a little bit of getting used to coming from a 42. When I started riding 98, 99, I think I probably rode a 44 bar, which we would have been told to measure them off your shoulders. So I was riding a 44 bar, which if I get onto a bike now with even a 42 bar, it feels like I'm riding on a bus. Like they feel so wide, and you can feel the difference. And then you get down into the narrower position, and like you go faster immediately. Anyway, that's enough waffle. That's the last box for today.